record it so that if people don't join us, then they can at least catch up with us later. Good one. All right, let me go to this screen. So this is us, Colin and I. Gee, we looked all right on those days. So we're a new events agency. We've been set up less than 12 months ago. What a great time to create an events business during COVID. But this is one of our 2 events. So we look after 2 events, Buffalo Stampede, which is in Bright in April. So if you want to come and join us in April in spectacular Bright, we've got distances there, and obviously the roller coaster run as well. So we've taken charge of this from the team at Mountain Sports Events, who ran both of these events for some time, and we've got a couple of other events in the pipeline for the future. But let's get out of COVID first before we go launching any new events. So that's the 2 of us. Our background is in event management and large participation events. So we've worked on events like the Weet-Bix Kids Triathlon all across Australia, various other trail races, triathlons, Ironmans, sponsor activations, schools events, kind of you name it, lots of different things, but obviously new to taking ownership of these couple of events and really trying to remold them and reshape them for the future. So, and we thank you that you're part of that, and thank you for volunteering, putting your hand up to volunteer for being part of Roller Coaster. So a few fast facts, just as we kick off about the roller coaster. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, I appreciate lots of people on this call will be very familiar with the event. So first held in 2012, we're going to plan some sort of amazing 10-year celebration in 2022, but we've got 12 months to work that out. Traditionally started and finished at Sky High in Mount Dandenong, which is a major function centre up there. Not anymore, not for this year. We've moved to the Kalorama Memorial Reserve for this year. It's traditionally been held in February and March. Again, not this year. We've moved it to November. Part of the reason behind that is that another fun fact is that March has the most total fireband days in the Dandenong of any month of the year. So Parks Victoria in particular and the council were very keen for us to move it to the latter half of the year. It was cancelled last year because of COVID-19. So a lot of our participants had entered in this event in March 2020. So a long time ago. They've been waiting a long time to tackle those trails, pretty much as long as COVID's been in existence, about 18 months plus by the time they hit on the trail. For those of you who aren't familiar with the event, this year we're running a 12K on the Saturday evening. First time it's been run as an evening event. And then on the Sunday, it is a 23-kilometre single loop of the course. And then the 46 is quite unique in that once the athletes have completed the 23 loop, they then come through the finish line and turn around and go back, but in the opposite direction. So they actually do the reverse direction of the course on lap 2. So the event dates, in case you're just wondering, 27th and 28th of November in just a few short weeks time. And this year we're looking at 800 athletes. So 300 on the Saturday evening for that 12K event and 500 for the Sunday for the 23 and the 46 combined. We do have a number of athletes who are backing it up. They're doing the 12K on the Saturday, and then they're doing either the 23 or the 46 on the Sunday. So we've got a small number of athletes doing that as well. We're pretty pumped to see them take that on, and that's something that we do want to encourage as well. So that venue, that address is the Kalorama Memorial Reserve. It is a cricket ground. It has some parking. It has some space for us to be able to really create an event village atmosphere and experience for people. It will be just a fantastic location that we hope can really build up into the future through the reserve there. So we've been working really closely with the council, really closely with the cricket clubs. The first Ferny Creek Scout Troop is looking after all the parking on the day. And we're just really excited about making that our home for the event into the future. Parking, Just a side note, parking is a really big challenge up on the mountain. If any of you have been a part of the event before, it's been a really big consideration for the event. So part of our move to splitting it over 2 days is to help alleviate some of that challenges around parking. Another one is that it will offer us some more flexibility at that new memorial reserve there. And of course, we want to plan to grow in the future. I'll run you through the event schedule over the 2 days and start with Saturday. I know that not all of you are registered across all of the days. So this won't be relevant, all of it be relevant to all of you, but we'll talk through this quite quickly. So on the Saturday, we'll open up the car park at 2:30. Then Bib Collection will start from 3 o'clock, and that's available to all events. So if they're doing the Saturday or the Sunday, we're happy to get rid of as many bibs as we can. And I know that there's a number of people on this call who are helping with Bib Collection, so I'll go through some of that shortly. Then we'll do a briefing 10 minutes before the start, which will be at 6 p.m. For the 12K. And we're going to be instituting some rolling waves of roughly about 100 people per wave into those. So we'll need you as volunteers who are on at that time to just help us corral those people into smaller groups. That really helps us, one, on the trail, not get too congested. Two, it's a COVID consideration of not having people congregate in too tight of groups. And really, three, it will help people enjoy the experience of running out of the chute. Their start time will be when they cross the start line. It doesn't all start at the gun time. So if anyone's really anxious about that, then, you know, they shouldn't be too worried. It will literally, they'll get a start from when they cross and close the finish line. So first finisher expected about 7 o'clock, around about an hour for that course. If they're running really well, we're maybe a little bit over on that, given the complexity and the challenge of the course. And then last finisher will be at 9 p.m. So it will start to be getting dark for sunset at around 8:30, 8:35 on that evening, depending on the amount of light we have in terms of weather considerations and those sort of things. So it is mandatory to carry a headlight on that evening event for a safety precaution, even though we know that probably 50–60% of the runners won't actually need them. As a precaution, as a reassurance, we want to make sure people have got them. So we will be working through that with people on the evening as part of it. So that's Saturday, twilight 12K. Sunday, car park will be open from 5:30, and we will start doing Bib Collection from 5:45, nice and early. The long course starts at 7 a.m. The 23K starts at 7:30 a.m. And then there are obviously, again, rolling waves as before. We're expecting the first finishers to be in for the 23K at 9:30. And then we have a cutoff time for the second lap. So if those 46Kers, if they haven't completed their first lap and want to start the second lap, if they haven't done that by 10:30, then basically they've missed the cutoff at that time. So they do have to finish at that point. And that's a conversation that really Colin and I and my team will have. That won't be one for your team to have, but that's just so you're aware that they need to meet that requirement before they set out on lap number 2. Then really we just roll through the rest of the afternoon, and then we're expecting the last finisher to be in by 3 p.m. That's our cutoff. Ideally, we want them a little bit before that, so we're not all hanging around till 3 o'clock. And then really the event village closes down pretty quickly after that. So that's a quick run through of the couple of days. All right, quick look at the 12K course. This is on the website, so some of you may be familiar with this. But as I mentioned earlier, we're starting over in the Memorial Reserve, not at Sky High. So there's quite a different change from previous years in terms of there's a 1,500 metre stretch of small roads, semi-closed roads that the runners will be coming in and out of for the first and last section of the course. So once they're in the bushland, they're on their way, and then we have an aid station on the way back up at 7.4 kilometres on the way back. So they've got to carry a few things with them, a headlamp, charged mobile phone, some means of carrying 500 mils of fluid. So might be a hand flask, might be some bottles in their vests, might be anything that they want to carry that can just really hold some water, and a face mask as well. So in case they're really required for any medical attention, they will be required to carry a face mask on them. So not a buff. So the 23K loop is quite similar, still goes down the zigzag, and then we have an aid station there which they go through on the way out at 7.8K, on the way back around the loop at 15K, and then obviously they get to the finish line as well at 23. So they've got, they don't need to carry a headlight, obviously, but they do need to have a mobile phone, a snake bandage, and again, a means of carrying fluids, 500 ml of fluids. So we don't mind exactly what that is, but they do need to do that. They'll be provided with water on the course. So pretty tough 23K, 900 meters of elevation gain plus in that time, and most of it is steep up and steep down. It really is a true roller coaster course. The 46, not surprisingly, it's 2 laps of the 23. The main change here being that they'll obviously go through those aid stations a couple of times. So, and we are expecting and requiring them to carry, at least be able to carry a litre of fluids, and most vests and camelbacks and Solomon packs will carry 1,000 mils, sorry, not 1,000 litres, for them to carry on course. They do go through aid stations quite a number of times. So they do have plenty of opportunity to fill them up and for us to look after them out on course. All right, let's give you the sweeteners first, because that's a good place to start, and that's a good background on the event. So what will you get as our volley crews? Because, you know, the first question often is, what's in it for me, right? So we'll give you a roller coaster trucker cap and one of these roller coaster crew tees. Now, they may not exactly look like that. Colin's organising those at the moment. That is a visual representation, should you like. We will provide you with an entry credit for a future one of our events up to $150. So if you are interested in Stampede or roller coaster again in the future, feel free to please use that. We'll provide you obviously with snacks and refreshments and food during your shifts, and, you know, the warm glow of being part of an event. How can I sell that any better? But really, we know it's been a really tough time in terms of COVID over the last 2 years. We all know that, but you know, there's an important part of being part of events and, you know, contributing to them. And I just hearing some of the people early on the call before that they've been part of it before. And I think it is really great to give back in events before. That's how I got started in events, was volunteering. And we hope that you can continue to feel that part of that reward as well. A quick note on dress code. Please wear comfortable shoes and clothing. This is not a place for high heels or, you know, your best pair of jeans. Please make sure you're really comfortable. We're expecting long-range weather forecast is a weather forecast. It could be absolutely anything, but at the moment the weather looks fine. When I say fine, between 20 to 25 degrees fine, and low chance of rain. That might completely change being Melbourne weather, but that's what we're looking at the moment. We do expect Saturday night may get cold being up in the mountains. So please bring a jacket with you if you're with us on the Saturday night. All right, a couple of the roles. Well, I'll just talk through each of the roles explained, because I know there's a number of people on this call who are in different roles. So we're just going to cover all of them, and then we'll pick up some questions at the end. Colin, is there anything you wanted to add at this stage?
No, I'm trying to keep track of some of the messages flowing through, but no, that's all excellent. And I think there's a file that would like to flick around, and I think, Nigel, if you've got everyone's emails, which I understand you do, we can flick a file around for everyone to complete a Google file, just add in your sizes of t-shirt. We're trying to be as accurate with our orders as possible. So from a girl's point of view, women's, it's the sizes, 8s, 10s, 12s, 14s, 16s, etc., and the fellas, the generic, small, medium, large, extra larges, and no one needs to be shy if they've got some special triple XLs and things like that. We'll make it all happen. We welcome everyone.
Thank you. Perfect. So some of the different roles, and first one being bib collection. This is a important part of the process, obviously, because if the athlete doesn't have a bib, they don't have a time. But it's going to be a bit more souped up this year, because to get themselves a bib, they will have to show that they are doubly vaccinated, which I'll just get mine up here somewhere. They'll need to show whatever their version of this vaccination certificate is for COVID. So we'll have a couple of our team members around to help with these discussions. All of the registered athletes to date have been notified that this is a requirement, a government requirement, for them to participate. But that will be really step number one, to make sure that they need to provide vaccination status. So we've been providing refunds to anyone who has not been able to meet that requirement, should we say. We expected it would, expected it may be a requirement, but given the timing of our event and the 90% and all of the rest of it, we thought maybe there was a chance it wouldn't be a requirement for our size, but we were notified last week, confirmation that it is. So this is part of the process. So first of all, there'll be QR code to check in. You'll need to ensure they've got a valid vaccination certificate or a valid exemption. Check for mandatory gear requirements as part of that. And again, we'll have some people on hand to just double check any queries if they're unsure of anything. But the mandatory gear requirement list is pretty short compared to other trail races, so it's not onerous. We just want to make sure that when people go out on the trail, they're as prepared as they can be in terms of equipment, particularly not so much for when they're going well, but if they have a fall or if anything happens to them. Then you will provide them one of these bibs, and each of the bibs are numbered. So this is obviously the 46K bib, different colors for different people. You will have either a list of those, but they will also have received an email within 24 to 48 hours prior to the event with their number. So it's likely that they'll come up and they'll say, oh, I'm Nigel Preston and I'm number 1300. And you literally will give them number 1300 and some pins as they come in. And that's your part of it done. That's your part of that process done. And then just encourage them to head on over, direct them to where the toilets are and where it is to fill up their drink bottles and where it is to see the start line and all of those sort of things. It will be fairly obvious. There is, as part of that flow, we're going to try to set it up as best as we can to avoid queuing. We just know that when 500 people turn up in a short amount of time, there is naturally going to be queuing, but being on a cricket oval, we do have quite a bit of room to spread out and move out. So we will do that as best as we can as part of that, and just answer any general questions or direct them across to the information tent as part of that. So that's the first role in terms of bib collection. It's kind of straightforward, and the best part of that role is that you're done as soon as the races start. So you can either head off and catch up with family and friends, go and cheer people on course, or maybe help out on some other role throughout the morning if you'd like to, or day. That's number one. Event Village Rockstars and just our general helpers in the site. So there's a few different things here. So first of all, we want to help and direct those runners as part of that time in and out of the reserve. So in terms of those start waves that I talked about, but specifically the point here is that as the runners will leave the reserve, they actually take a sharp left-hand turn. Once they've left the reserve, they take a sharp left-hand turn on the road. And so we do want to spot a couple of marshals down there to just make sure people get on their way and onto the course really quickly. So that would be really useful to have a few people in those roles. That's for that start phase. So once the bunch of runners, once the group of runners is out on course, it won't be required because people will follow after themselves, each other, and off they go. Help with the setup and just that manage in terms of the recovery zone. So chop fruit, fill up water cups, those sort of things, fill up some of the fixed nutrition that we'll have on site, get that ready for when all the athletes come in, because once they start coming in, they'll start coming in really fast. So we want to just keep managing that. Support some merchandise sales if required. We've got someone who's going to be helping with the merchandise, but you may be called on to be a part of that. Be Colin and my eyes and ears in terms of just making sure the event village is really humming along. If there's some issue that needs being addressed, then you can help us respond to those things really quickly. Be cautious that people are observing social distancing and being COVID safe, and then awarding finisher medals to the finishers, essentially. That's who they get as they come across the line. So we do need to do that in a somewhat COVID safe way. So you will need to wear a mask as you perform that duty. And actually in the Bib Collection as well, you will need to wear a mask in that as well, because you're having really close interaction with a number of people through that journey. So there are a couple of roles that will really need masks, the finishers and the Bib Collection, kind of those key touch points. Next one.
That's your question answered.
Brilliant. Good. With the roles explained. So the next one about the aid stations. This is a shot here of some guys hoeing into some of the kind of stuff that we will have on the day, some chopped bananas, some orange slices, watermelon. Colin is a big fan of watermelon. My kids are a big fan of watermelon. Runners are a big fan of watermelon. So that's why it's a good thing to have watermelon. You can also be a part of that. So I know there's a couple of people here who are part of aid stations. If you've ever been part of a race, it can be really helpful. So a few roles here in terms of helping us set up on the day, pop up the tables and potentially marquees depending on the site. A couple of COVID comments here. The volunteers will need to basically turn on the taps for the athletes as part of the COVID requirement. They'll need to turn on the tap and turn off the tap. It's amazing that we're doing that, but this is 2021. And in terms of some of that fruit, that this is an old photo not being shared with tongs and things, you'll need to basically hand things to the athletes as they come. So it's one of those things where obviously we don't want cross-contamination in that sort of sense. And look, it's probably something we should be doing anyway, but that's part of our work in terms of the COVID protocols on race day. So we want you to notify me or one of my team if your supplies are running low. Notify us if there's any athletes who need assistance as well, and have those conversations if there's any athletes who are likely to be outside of the cutoff. So once that's all run and done, we can help pack up that gear. We'll have someone with a ute or a vehicle to help pack down all of that gear and bring it back.
I think just Nigel, one thing on the refreshments is a clean space is a good space. A clean space is a healthy space. So I think it's just making a sort of a consistent, repeated sort of emphasis to really try and keep that space clean, tidy. Yeah, we all sort of have that sort of interest to really just keep it fresh and keep it in order. So that's and so if both from a produce point of view, if you feel that you're running short, or from a consumables in terms of be it hand towels or any other sort of consumables, just reach out and make sure that we support you to help keep it clean as well.
Thank you. A couple of other roles out on course. There's two more. These are our last ones as well, and then we can jump into some questions. The next one is some of those marshal roles. So there are a couple of spots on course where runners, they're not going to be necessarily interacting with cars, because we do have traffic management and traffic controllers in place to manage cars and traffic. But this may be on some of the courses where they turn in a direction that's not immediately obvious, shall we say, to a runner, or, even with signage and course ribbons, course ribbon like this, you know, a marshal just to say, yep, you know, head down to that way through the next gate, or head down to Bill and in through the next gate. Some of those sort of things to just help people on their way. So again, it is good to have those eyes and ears out there. They can notify us in terms of if there's anyone who needs assistance, and we can get either medical to them or get them to the next aid station and get them off course. And then the final role being the sweepers and the tail walkers. So this is a role where it really helps us in terms of knowing where people are on the course, particularly the last person in the course. And so their role is to literally sweep through the course, be the last person out there, all the way from the start to the finish. So they can notify us, this person either isn't going to make the finish line, the cutoff in time, or maybe they're unwell, or maybe they need assistance, those sort of things, and can just keep in touch with us throughout the day. So we can notify our aid stations when to pack down. Yep, this is the last athlete. You can start packing down now. Marshals, this is the last athlete. You can start packing down now, and then relay back to us. And traffic control, even, this is the last athlete. We can now start packing down. So actually a really important role as part of the day. Really important. They've got charged mobile phones, and ideally even a second battery if they're doing the 46K loop. And we can work in some shifts here where people can actually do part of those roles, particularly with the 46. We could have someone do the first loop 23 behind the last 46 runner, and then someone do the second loop, because it is a big day out otherwise. As I said, it's just a really important role for us to know, okay, this is where people are out on course, and this is where people will be. So we do also have, which I'll just get up for us as well, we do also have, this year we're using an app with some timing split points. So there is an app, it looks like this. And so it will also notify us once people go through those checkpoints on course. So we'll be able to track, and you'll be able to track anyone. I'll put those in the notes as well, and there's a link to that on the website. That's really good from a technical point of view, but out on course, nothing beats an old-fashioned, literally one person walking behind everyone else. So there's some of the roles again, and I explain them quite quickly, but I think in terms of the Bib Collection, some of those event village roles and just helping us out on all of the different pieces and things, the aid stations, the marshals, and then the sweepers and the tail walkers. So that's all from me. I will open up the floor, and perhaps a show of hands if you have a question, or you can pop it in the chat and we'll try to cover off anyone as they go. So maybe some hands, that's good. I see Mark. I'll take Mark's first.
Mate, just wondering, because me and my sister are part of the Bib Collection, will you be having a tray or a box there with brand new masks that the runners can purchase or take in case they don't have their own?
Yes, they'll just be the normal, I want to say surgical ones,
Yep,
just the
gotcha.
standard ones. Yeah.
All good.
So we'll have a few boxes of those for people, and you know, we won't charge them. They can just grab them, and that's
perfect.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. John, I see that hand.
Yeah, thanks. Look, just on the bottom of Dodds, the last couple of years, people have been unaware that they've got to go down golf links, and so they've been running up Durangale, the track. So a few times I've done Dodds, and we've sort of told people, when you come back, make sure you go down golf links and all that. Because some runners just gone up there and they've cut out, you know, a few hundred meters out of the track. So just as a sort of hint or advice or whatever.
That's on lap 2 for the lap. Yep. I can imagine where they peel off there. It's that's actually a spot where we are. I was there last week. We're planning to put a marshal there, so it's good to remind them, because I think we can think late in the day, they've already done lap 1, they should know, but I think when you come along, it will look quite different and feel quite different at that point. That's good. Yeah. Thank you. Mark again. Yep.
Yeah, mate. Just regarding Dodds for the 23 Ks in the first lap at a 46. Not sure if you've got a note down for this, but I'd highly suggest having a few people maybe planted halfway up or at the top as a bit of a party atmosphere to get people revved up, because I know it's taken a pretty good reception in previous years.
Yeah, cool. That's a good.
You volunteering for that, Mark, are you?
Well, you did it the other year, so. But yeah, it's maybe with a Bluetooth speaker, pump some tunes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that'll be really
By
good.
that stage, if they're pushing hard, that part of the course is pretty rough, as you know. So
yeah, it's really yeah. For those of you who aren't familiar with the course, this is a climb that averages. It's just under 1 kilometer long, and it averages about 20% gradient. And most people are having a walk on this hill. Probably 90% of the field is having a walk on this hill. So, and then they're probably having a walk down on it on lap 2 as well. So it is a really key part of the course in terms of bringing that atmosphere. And part of the brand, it's actually a great point, Mark, part of the brand, part of the style is to bring a carnival atmosphere. So we do want people to dress up. We do want to bring some noise and have some music. We're going to have some Bluetooth speakers and some music at the aid stations.
perfect.
To make sure people are, at least enjoying the aid station parts of it. So,
Mark, I reckon you'd be good up Dodds. I think you'd do it.
Yeah, Julie, I agree. He
Yeah.
volunteered, right?
that's perfect. So,
I plan to go for a run after the bib check, so maybe I can just run there and stay there with an esky full of beer.
as long as you can pick them up, that's
Yeah,
maybe Coke, maybe.
yeah, it's pretty early. Yep.
It is. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I think Julie has her hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we're on, say, Marshall/aid station, do we just find out on the morning? We just rock up and ask where you want us?
I'll be assigning tomorrow. We'll be going through and assigning. We're still looking for some people for some of the spots. So as part of that, that's also a call out here. If you do have any friends, family, enemies who you want to, get involved and maybe put them on. No, I'm kidding. If there's anyone else, we do have some of those gaps still. But Julie, I'll come through and I'll assign some of those spots because we've been doing just a bit of a move around of different spots. So we have been talking to a school group who were looking to look after one of the aid station spots as part of a fundraiser. So we're just nutting out with their teachers and their staff. Okay, is that really going to work? How's that going to work? How do we work our volunteers in with that, or those sort of things? So we will let you know beforehand, so you can ideally, then if you're at Doongala and you start at 7 o'clock, you can just basically drive through really quickly, get your shirt and your cap, and then keep going and any gear, rather than sort of hang around and then go, oh, I needed to be there half an hour ago. It's not a good use of your time or our time. So yeah.
So just a little gentle build on that. So guys, yeah, what there's some particularly sort of obvious gaps that have emerged because they're with school exams and uni exams and a few other things being rescheduled and reshaped, as well as just every social agenda coming out of the woodwork for all of the obvious reasons. We do have some quite sizable chunks and gaps. So I think, I suppose separate to any sort of friends, families you might have for individual or sort of dual sort of roles and things like that, there's probably a special opportunity here where we're wanting to actually support a community group of some sort if they're, if anyone has a linkage into a group that represents really good energy, really good vibe, has that right sort of responsibility approach to it, that can really own that Doongala aid station on that Sunday. It's a big day. So we're putting our hands in the pockets to really try and make sure a community group may be able to get behind it. So it might be between that $500 and $750 sort of spend. If there's a group with a good cause really throw some good energy and really want to try and have fun with it. Because again, to your point, Mark, we really want to try and create the really right energy, right vibe, right atmosphere. So if there's a tight knit group that really want to get involved and keep off their phones, then that's really what we'd love to try and achieve there. So yeah, any heads up for anyone with any sort of linkages into that sort of high energy group that have a good cause behind it, then that would also be amazing.
Yeah, be really good to make sure. That's good.
Mark, you spoke earlier about beer. So on that, before Nigel grabs any more questions, I'd like to introduce Taylor. So Taylor's a lover of beer, but on the weekend she'll be quite the anchor throughout the entire village and event weekend. So I think if you give everyone a bit of a wave, if you get familiar with that face, do feel really comfortable. Do feel really comfortable to there'll be a number of us rolling around in some single track shirts and hoodies and things like that. Feel really comfortable to escalate anything there. But yeah, Taylor's quite the queen of support, whether it's technical stuff, technology stuff, transactional stuff. She's been around the traps. So yeah, that's probably just a good pointer.
Thank you.
Perfect.
That's good. Yeah, because if I'm off starting a race and you really need to escalate something to someone, it's either Colin or it'll be largely Taylor on the day. And Chris Barrett's on the call as well, and he'll be my 2IC. So between this will be really part of our core team on the day. So we can hopefully cover the bases. I better go to Emma because she's been so diligently putting her hand up for me. Go for it.
I wasn't sure. I just kept on waiting. I've got a question more so for the volleys and the race people, but I'm guessing you probably won't want us to park at Kalorama. Do you have a better option? Probably you guys who are a lot more familiar with the top of the mountain would be able to help us out. As to, do we park elsewhere and run in, or will there be enough space for all the race entrants and the volleys?
Just near the Kalorama lookout, there's quite a bit of space there that you can park, and you just got to walk down the road. You can easily get access down there. But it could be full as well, because if given things are open up, if it's a good day, that area can be quite full.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's now I was concentrating on some of the other questions coming through in the chat. So what day are you particularly focused on?
We're doing Bib Collection for both.
Yeah, okay. Look, I think there are a couple of other roads directly sort of adjacent in the nearby of the Kalorama Oval. So Kalorama Oval, I'm not sure whether you're familiar, that they've traditionally host quite a mega chestnut festival each year, and that really tests and demonstrates the limitations of how much car parks can sort of lurk around. I think if you do use any car parks outside of around the oval and that immediate sort of vicinity, just take care for all of the obvious reasons crossing the tourist road. So but yeah, there are quite a few roads and offshoots to be able to get sort of some off-street parking as well.
Yeah, I might check on that, because the ones that I've run before are quite narrow dirt roads, and I wouldn't really want to block it.
I'll add something there to add on to what Emma's just said. Basically, any road that's on the downward slope of the hill near Kalorama Reserve is a single car road for occupants only. So I wouldn't suggest parking on any of those.
Emma, I'd suggest, knowing you, why don't you park at Doongala and run up, and then do your volley, and then you can run back down.
But then I'd be doing it 2 days, John. I just can't. I'm not up to you just yet. If you pull me up in a sled, maybe we'll see how it goes.
Emma, I'd suggest parking at Sylvan Lookout.
How far away is that?
Couple 100 metres.
Oh, well, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. No, that's really close. That's probably going to be full. Anyway, I'll whinge about that later. I'll figure it out.
I suspect early on Sunday morning you will be fine there. You might be pushing more on Saturday afternoon. That will be a busy time. Yeah.
No worries.
John, back to you.
Yeah, just in terms of the sweeping from there. So do we head off after the 23s, or do you give a bit of time? What sort of some of the logistics around that and the 46? So
Are you doing the 46?
yeah.
Yeah. Our preference is for you to follow after the last 46 runner. Yeah, you can obviously give them a bit of space, and there is you don't necessarily want to be right behind them, so to speak, as in people. It's not a great feeling for the runner to have someone sort of right on their shoulder the whole day. So as long as you've got them in sight and you're following along behind them, feel free to have a chat with them at the aid station, check in, see how they're going.
Sure.
But yeah, we actually really do want you to follow the whole way, and just keep them in sight, but not necessarily run alongside them.
Sure.
Just we'll keep in touch. I'll get your number. I tend to get the sweepers' numbers and things like that, so you can tell me, oh, we're in this point, or those sort of things. And if we need to have a conversation about bringing them off the course, then we can do that as well. So
I assume that also means we get a medal as well, don't we?
Yeah, if we finish, yes.
Just joking. So.
Not if you finish after cut-off, John.
Yeah, that's right. You have to
Nigel, what were the gaps that you had to fill?
Around the Doongala aid station is one on the Sunday, although we were talking about that, and then a couple of the marshal rolls. So there's actually a spot actually at the top of Dodd's track where they'll come up Dodd's track and they'll be heaving, and then they've actually got to take like a left-hand turn around. It will be traffic. There's signage on the traffic, but we do need really two people there for most of Sunday to make sure people, one, know where to go, and two, can just see some of the people. So there's a couple of those on-course marshal rolls that we'd love to have a few people cycle through. So just part of the crew feels okay, and they're not standing on a road all day. So there's some of the key spots. We're pretty well covered in the event village. It's more out there that we're looking for support. Yeah. Good.
All right.
Any other questions, team? Oh, Dan. Yep.
But just for the marshals and the sweepers, is it a recommendation and a requirement that they also take a power brick with them, like just a little one, so that they can charge their phones as they're going, because it will be a long day?
Yeah, certainly for the 46. Yes, that's our request to do that. With the 23, you should be okay unless you've got a really hopeless phone. But yeah, certainly for the 46, a brick would be good. And if you don't have one, if you're sweeping and you don't have one, we've got some, so we can supply you with one and a cable. Yeah, and make sure you're okay. So, yeah. Mobile coverage is reasonable across the whole course. It's not particularly fast, but it's reasonable to get a text message out or a quick call. So, yeah, good. Look at this, 8:48. Have we got any other questions? Oh, yeah, Aaron, fire away.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Noel. I think you kind of touched on. I'm doing the sweep for the 23. I think you mentioned that for us to get in contact. So I assume you'll have some mobile numbers and stuff for us if we're following along. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you mine, and I'll also give you Chris Barrett's as well, so you can be in touch with us.
Yeah.
And what we'll do on the weekend itself is we'll have a WhatsApp group, which you'll all be able to join into, so you can message and communicate, oh, this is happening, some of these sort of information as well. So you can just communicate with us, and that's also a good way. We can obviously then communicate with everyone, so people can go, oh, okay, the sweepers through the zigzag track. Okay, everyone kind of can be on the same network at the same time. So that can be really good way of communicating things, and also a good way for us to keep timing involved with conversations and everyone as part of the conversation. So
is there any need to pick up any signage? I assume on the 23, the 46s are coming back the other way, so I assume we don't want to be removing signage, or is that the marshals will do that? Or
we'll have some marshals doing that. We've also got some sweepers doing that as well, to do a demarc. So
so is that a requirement for the people doing the 23K, or that'll be more the 46 mopping everything up there?
Part of the 46, but we've also actually got two other people who will be doing that, who helped put it out. So yeah, we're pretty comfortable with you mainly focusing on following the last runner to make sure they're coming safely.
No, great, thanks.
Oh, and here's Chris. Chris has emerged.
Hi.
Hi, that's good. So Chris will be with me on the day, on both days, just checking in, making sure that we're looking after all the athletes. So you can get in touch with either of us. If you can't reach me, you'll be able to reach Chris and vice versa throughout the day. So
something that has worked in the past at an event is they gave out little lanyards, just a cheap piece of paper laminated with everyone's phone number on it.
Yep. So we will have those. Thank you, Chris. It's almost like we rehearsed that one. So we will give you a contact list as well with those key contacts. So not all the volunteers' contacts, but just the key people for you to communicate with. So so you don't have, even if your phone fails and you have to borrow Joe Blogg's phone to call someone, then you can still do that, basically. So yeah, a good thing. Thanks, Chris. Any other questions? Everyone's pretty good. Please find, hope you can find some carnival inspired costumes or a top hat or something to bring on the day. I've got to organize my my top hat yet, but it will be done. And Colin, anything else you want to add?
No, so I think if there's anyone in particular that's got an opportunity to do good deeds between now and then to try and ensure that we've got the right cumulative karma for the weather and things like that, let's have an amazing weekend. But I think it's just, our vibe is let's run a really, really good, fun, adventurous, challenging event. Keep it safe, but just make sure we have fun, make sure the others have fun. So keep calm, keep composed. I think everyone's fair few people will be keen as to get amongst it, but obviously we need to do some, follow all the right responsible sort of measures and things like that, which won't be to everyone's pleasing. And if we keep ourselves in check and keep calm, composed about it, then we'll just glide on through, and then watermelon at the end.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Get in touch with me if you need to, or Colin. I'll share again this presentation. It's got my email address and my number there, and we can go from there. Thanks so much, and I love Julie's hat as well. That was fantastic. Thank you. All right, take care. Goodbye.
See ya.
All right, see you guys.
Yeah, right.